je veux des belles, mais en fait, oui, je sais, comme tu t'aimes, je veux des belles avec des gaz, you know what? Mais ta mère, mais ton père, mais ton frère, mais ta soeur, même les sexes, à l'amour, les chouba, les baisers, tous les rats, les chiches comme un cœur, mais le tirer d'une balle, no fire.
Hello and welcome to the SMS. I hope you're doing well and thank you for watching. The clip you just saw was from an amazing artist. I hope you enjoyed the clip because I have some good news. We're going to be interviewing him. Woo! So here it is. Here is ACV. Hey, how are you?
Hey, I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. So you just released your new music video, Herzog Part 2. Did I pronounce that
hmm
well?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I pronounce it the English way, like Herzog, but I know it should probably a German name like Herzog or something like that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a German accent, but anyway, it's a good song, and I invite
Thank you,
everyone
thank
to
you,
watch it.
thank you.
Yeah, I really wanted to just do like a quick, well, actually, yeah, like a quick deep dive. Does that make sense? Of just
hmm
like you as an artist. But before we go into like the music aspect, I just wanted to know like who are you? Who is ACV?
So, I mean, my name is Alexandre Vanchon, and like ACV is actually my initials. So I chose that for my stage name, or if I can use that properly or whatnot. More than anything, I'm myself. You know, I'm an activist. I'm a scholar. I'm an artist. I'm a musician. I'm a producer as well. I really try to subscribe to the sort of medieval slash early modern artists that really just used to do everything, like those polymath that just used to do everything. And I think that's my ambition. But more than anything, I think I'm a social commentator. If I had to define myself, that's what I am. So I do it
Mm-hmm.
through my music, through my activism, through everything.
Yeah, honestly, like your Facebook posts are always like
Thank
perfect.
you.
I love that. Like always spot on.
uh,
Yeah, I mean like aren't you like a philosophy pro? Like didn't you go to like Cornell recently?
well, I did this summer program, philosophy of law summer program at Cornell, and I'm actually co-organizing it now. It's relatively new. It's called Plus of Law Summer Philosophy of Law undergraduate summer school, and basically we're trying to create a space for students who belong to marginalized groups to learn philosophy of law, especially philosophy of law that pertains to them. Sort of try to create a pathway for them to get into grad school, and especially like higher status grad schools, and give them information, give them we explore topics and whatnot, and we're trying to uh, create the program and make it grow into something much more than just what it is right now, much more than just a summer program. But that you'll have to follow me and everything I do just to see how that evolves in the next following years.
Yeah, I can't wait to see. Great. So I'm wondering like what pushes you to write music?
Honestly, as long as I can remember, I loved music. So I'm the youngest of my siblings. I have an older brother who's only 3 years older than me, and then I have a sister who's 10 years older than me. And so when I was born, she was 10 and whatnot. So as long as I can remember, I used to listen to the music that she used to listen to at a very young age. And I would assume that's where I got my love for music. But my mom and my father both love music as well. So as soon as I think I was 8 or whatnot, as soon as I can remember, like as early as I can remember, I was always trying to dabble into writing music, writing song lyrics and whatnot. And as the years progressed, I really studied hip hop and that type of lane, and my love for it really grew with time. So, and then obviously I learned how to become better and actually make music. But that passion itself to make music is to me cumulative with my other passions as well. So I love writing, whether it's fiction or not. I love as well just I guess community organizing. That all comes together for me. They all come from the same source, like critically looking at the world. You know what I mean? So yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
that's great. And yeah, I mean like when talking about your like passion for music, like it really shows like
Thank you, thank
I
you.
like I really want people to like realize like your newest album, Saul Bellow Négrophilique.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
is yeah that the themes like the
Hmm.
I feel like there's so many themes in your music, there's so many like different genres too, like
Hmm.
every song is like its own like unique style.
Definitely. Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't
No,
mean to
go
cut
ahead,
you
go
off.
ahead.
Well, yeah, like actually, I didn't mean to cut you off, but the reason is, like, I'm glad you're saying that because that was the purpose. So, for myself, obviously, I made the music and I was satisfied, so obviously I released it. But to hear somebody else, who was able to appreciate that, that was intentional because it's called Saul Bellow Négrophilique, and to give a background to it. So, Saul Bellow is a writer, a famous American writer, and he was born in Montreal, but grew up in Chicago, which is sort of the opposite of who I am. So my mother's American. She's Haitian American. She immigrated to Chicago when she was 11 years old. And most, like, I'd say 90% of my family lives in Chicago to this day. And so for me, it's always been a second home. So for me, looking at Saul Below's life, I'm like, you know what? We're very similar, but we're very opposite at the same time. So he's this white Jewish man who's from Montreal, born in Lachine, and ended
Mm.
up growing up in Chicago and doesn't speak French anymore. And me, I'm born here. I still have my American citizenship, but Chicago's my second home. And he lived his own experience with racial and ethnic persecution, being a Jewish person in the 1940s, 1950s. And then for me as a black man in our current day and age, I contrasted that. So I took his first 8 books and basically
Wow.
every song is every song is titled
Okay.
after his books. So Herzog is his sixth book, and it's probably his most famous or second most famous. And each book basically is a retelling of that book, but put into my context, or put into the context of a Black Montrealer. And each song is supposed to each song basically has a story of its own. So definitely it has its own theme. It stands on its own. That's why they sound so different.
Mm.
But however, every artist sort of puts elements of themselves in their work. So for me, I definitely added a lot of my own personal life, own personal experience into each song. So there is some continuity in the entire album, even though each song is its own story. Especially there's even a song with no words, just straight instrumental. So like it feels like there's a continuum within the album because of those themes. But like you said, they really each stand out. They have their own sound, they're different genres, like most of the time. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just hearing that, I mean, like, hello, like, you're such a genius, like,
Stop it, stop it.
no, but for real, like, I really appreciate that album. My personal favorite is, I think it's Hanging Man. I,
Dangling Man, yeah, the
yeah,
intro.
yeah, I love just like the rapping, the intonation that you have, like,
Thank you,
doing it.
thank
It
you.
just so, I love it. It's fun. I hope everyone watching, like, go check this album. Uh,
Please do, please do.
yeah, it's linked in the description actually if you want to check it out.
Thank you, thank you.
But yeah, so I guess let's zero in more on Herzog.
Mhm.
So like, what were you trying to convey with
Mm.
this song?
So, I mean, I guess to explain it, I'll first begin on, the themes of the actual book. So, Herzog is a story about this man, Herzog, who goes through, well, basically, the book begins with his relationship is already ended, through a divorce. He has a kid with a wife, and I believe she's in Chicago. And basically, he goes to visit them. Oh, basically, he goes to get his kid. It's his turn, basically, to spend time with his child. And there's a whole list of peripety that just keeps on going. And the book is supposed to be very introspective. It's written in a diary format. So throughout the entire book, at least from the beginning, you really start to appreciate the narrator and the main character, who's the main character. You're like, oh wow, this person is introspective. He's honest with himself about his own shortcomings, into the reason why the relationship failed and whatnot. But then you keep going, and then you realize most of his diary entries are complete lies. And it's crazy
Uh,
because obviously the diary entries are for himself. So he's going out of his way to lie to himself. He's inventing situations that didn't happen. He's even inventing people that don't exist. So I took those themes
damn.
of, like, introspection and whatnot, and tried to contrast it with subtle but very emotive production. So like the production is very it slaps like it's but
Mm-hmm.
like it doesn't slap in terms of bass or whatnot, but you know it's chaotic like especially towards there's a climax around like 2 minute 30, and you know I made sure to make the lyrics very disjointed, so it seems like I'm saying full sentences, but I'm not. You know, I'm really just
Mm-hmm.
going back and forth with myself, like as if it was diary entries. I'm flipping through the pages, and you know, most of the time it seems like I'm being introspective. I'm going back and forth with, you know what, the beginning. I'm like, you know what, I know what my shortcomings are, like, but then at the end of the day, I also know that I'm looking for like you know partners that are just as toxic, like you know, repeating the same traits. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? So that's the first half of the song where I'm there's this battle, and then once the climax is done, there's this emptiness, and then the second part of the song comes in where there's true introspection, where it's like, okay, I look at my habits, like you know what, I'll intoxicate myself and like seclude myself from everybody when I know I'm wrong, and like you know when I don't want to deal with stuff, and then I cut it at that. You know what I mean? I don't say more because I know if I keep going on, then I'll keep the habit of talking to myself and then ended up lying to myself and being like, you know what, finding resolutions that don't actually resolve the problem. And it's really also, and I'm sorry for rambling for going on and
No,
on.
it's great. I'm obsessed.
Thank you, Saul. But yeah, but more than anything, it's a song about you know black people and you know being a black man. I you know my upcoming and you know the circumstances I had to deal with growing up. You know, like I love my mom; she did everything for me, but you know I still grew up in a very broken household and everything and broken environment.
Mm.
So, you know, I don't think we talk enough about how that kind of reality sort of hinders your ability for emotional growth. You know what I mean? Like you're
Mm-hmm.
not only are you not taught how to become an emotionally stable adult, but the few little things that you are taught, you know, emotionally and psychologically are destructive things. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I never grew up with the mindset or anybody around me saying, you know, we're gonna live past 35. Like obviously we will, but mentally we won't, you know? So I think it's a song that tries to look at a black man trying to learn to become like a black man who's actively trying to become better emotionally and psychologically with himself, but then is ultimately faced subconsciously faced, you know, with the reality that he doesn't have the tools yet or right now at the moment to basically emotionally grow. So I'm trying to that's more the moral side of it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. That's like really deep, really honest.
Thank you, thank
And
you.
honestly, like I feel like a lot of people would relate to that.
Hmm.
Um, so I really hope they listen because it's a
Thank
really
you.
good
I hope people are
album.
listening. Oh, thank you, Star.
So I guess my next question is, what do you plan on, like, what do you want to achieve with your music?
That's a very good question. I think what I'm trying to achieve, I mean, I guess music for me is my more expressive side of myself. So in a sense, you know, it's therapeutic. You know what I mean? It's one of those outlets that I use to really communicate with myself, get deep into my own intuition. But if I were to really single out my ambitions or the things I want the listeners to take away from my music is one, constantly be in conversation with yourself, and two, I'm looking to show an avenue or give an avenue to to black kids out there to say like you can you can be an artist no matter the style. I'm not one of those who are like, oh, I want to make intelligent music. Like, no, to me, all music is important, whether it's trap or not. Like, they all have their own meaning and their own purpose. But I really want to show, like, okay, you you can be an artist, you can be a scholar at the same time. You can be whatever you want to be in a sense, no matter how corny that is. But you can be whatever you want to be and still maintain a level of like professionalism that we're taught that doesn't exist in certain fields or whatnot. You know what I mean? Or not even professionalism, because that's rooting colonialism and we don't fuck with that.
Oh.
I'm sorry. Oh, it came out. My bad. But but yeah. And also, I think if there's one thing, like, if there's one thing I want to come out of my music is I don't want there to be one thing to come out of my music. You know what I mean? Like for me, I really love art. Like art history has always been my passion, deep down my personal passion. And like for me, artists and art, is not subjective, but you can get a lot out of a piece of art that let's say an artist didn't even think of. But that's part of the whole process. You know what I mean? It's more than just the intention of the artist. You know what I mean? So I think if that makes sense, if my jumbled words make sense, I want sort of
Makes a lot of sense.
yeah, people to find their own pieces of themselves into my music. Hopefully I speak about true shit, that
Hmm.
really, resonates with people.
I love that. So speaking of art and expression, what would you give to like local aspiring musicians? Like, what type of advice would you give to them? Coming from
Um,
someone who's so like damn talented.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Damn, I'd say don't fall into the lie of like people think, music or talent in music or success in music comes easily and quickly. It doesn't, for anybody, like no, it's all a facade. Don't get caught up in looking at the pacing of somebody else's, I guess, growth or musical growth or even successful growth. Like, stick to your guns, learn to do things well. Like, I'm a purist at heart. I talk all this music is a feeling on the inside, but like also like work on yourself. Like, like don't just you made a song tonight, don't release it tonight as well. You know what I mean? Like market it, like do stuff like that. Even though I'm still learning in that process. Yeah, so I do things right, band with people, but don't. When things are going wrong when you're with a group of people, listen to the red flags. You know what I mean? Like I got burned from that, and like I thought it was gonna come at a hefty price, but I was able to bounce back from it. So, but yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah, that's what I would
But
say.
you did.
Stop it! I did. Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
awesome. So yeah, like I really appreciate everything you said so far. So, what are your next moves? Like, so you released your part two video
mhm.
tonight, which is
Yeah,
linked in the description.
yo, peep
What's
that.
next?
So I have a beat tape that's coming out April 5th. And so April
Oh,
5th at midnight means April 4th at like, the midnight
yeah.
of April 4th. Yeah, and it's really amazing. It's a sound I tapped into from, my real musical inspirations from deep down. So like I think it sounds good to anybody, but of course it might not be appealing to a lot of people, if you're going more for like a mainstream pop sound, you might not like it. But if you just like different sounds in music, you'll definitely love it. I'm not rapping on it; it's purely production, but it's definitely going to be amazing. And if I may say so myself, it's the best beat tip I've ever heard. Like I've never heard a Canadian producer do anything like this. I think it's fire.
Ooh.
So yeah, yeah, yeah. Just dropping my little salt, be like, hey, hey. But yeah, definitely keep that. If not, go listen to the album Saul Bellow Négrophilique. There's so many lyrics to each song.
Mm-hmm.
Even if the lyrics aren't clear, you can feel it more than anything. And yeah.
Yeah, highly recommended album. Awesome. So, okay, I really appreciate like all the time you took to talk to me, talk to everyone watching.
And thank you for the
Uh,
platform.
oh, of course. And yeah, is there anything else you wanted to share before we wrap up?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, go watch the music video that just dropped. Go stream that album. Follow me on my socials. So on Instagram, you can find me at lightskin baka. If not, if you can, but if not, you just search ACV and you'll find it. If not on Facebook, Alexandre Vanchon for some spicy posts, some revolution. I
Oh,
do not
my
hold back.
favorite
Like
post.
style. But like I don't hold back. Like I be coming for everybody's neck. And yeah, more than anything, if I also wanted to leave a message out there is one, fuck colonialism, two, fuck white
Yeah.
supremacy, and then three, your real life is really, really short. Don't ever forget that. And if you're going to sleep tonight, like, oh fuck, you know what, you didn't do what you really wanted to, like this is the sign. Like, go and do that
Mm,
tomorrow morning. You know what I mean? Like,
this is
no
the
matter
sign.
what it is, this is the sign.
Yeah, do it right now. If you're watching, go do the thing you
And go
wanted to
do the
do.
thing. And if you're watching, basically, follow the SMS, and thank you to
Mm,
Sam for like giving me this platform more than anything. As always, you're amazing.
I really hope I can bring you some fans. You really deserve it. The album is
Hey,
so good. And yeah, honestly, thank you so much, ACV, for coming.
it's
And
been my pleasure.
yeah, I wish you a lot of success with the music video that you just released and also with everything that's coming up.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
All right. See you, ACV.
Bye.
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And I'll actually have another episode coming up in the next few days. So just stay tuned and thank you for watching.